Matt Glover Productions.
Chapter 7, Section 6, Forms, by Matt Glover. Introduction to Forms. Forms are used to present a user-friendly graphical interface for entering and editing data in a database. Because of this, they're sometimes referred to as data entry screens. Forms shield users from the complexity of database tables, queries, and relationships. As you can see below in the picture, you can see that it has a very easy-to-use interface, which makes it as it says there, it shields from the complexity of the database tables and it adds a very user-friendly graphical interface for them to use. And an example of forms is in a doctor database, patients' details might be stored in a table, while one or more X-ray images for each patient would be stored in a separate table. So more about forms. A form can easily display the patient details and the X-rays belonging to them on the same screen. This saves the user from switching between the patient table and another table or query for the X-ray images. So this just makes it a much better experience because they don't have to keep on opening up new like tables and stuff like that. Like they don't have to go between two different ones to compare information. It just it goes on the same screen, so it makes for a much easier experience. Also, command buttons can be added to the forms, which allows additional windows to be opened, such as all appointments made by that patient, even though in the underlying database these appointments will be stored in a separate table. And as you can see below, here's a picture of a form that pertains to the example I mentioned above about X-ray images. As you can see, when you like it would enter a patient's name, it'd pop up with their X-ray images, and it's just a much nicer graphical interface. It's much easier to look. It's like much easier to look at, much nicer looking, and it's very easy to use. So that's a very big plus for forms. One big plus to forms is the way they could shield data. So they could shield data, like certain types of data from different users, which helps to control how it's accessed. For example, they could limit the fields that are displayed when a user is looking at the form, or they could display fields but prevent alteration. So you could choose the extent to which users can access or control the forms. Like you can either set it so they can just merely see the field, or where they can edit it, or neither. So it allows for a lot of control over what the user can do. And in most cases, users should not be allowed to edit automatically assigned identification numbers, which are used as key fields, because this could really mess with the form. So having this freedom to block users' access or limit it is a really big plus for forms. Form design. So the design of the form is a really important aspect as well, because they could be designed with a whole variety of different layouts and color schemes, and can be customized to include a company or the creator's logos, images, or labels. And this is extremely useful because the interface can be applied or can be altered to use style and different terminology similar to other applications the organization uses, which speeds up the transition to the system, and it just makes for a much easier experience because the way that forms are, they allow companies to utilize them and allow them to adapt to the company's unique different features or aspects, which is a really big part, because like it's really important that each company can utilize forms for their different unique ways. So this is a really big deal, and it's great that forms have such um, great capabilities in terms of customization and and interface like that. So other advantages of forms. With this Excel data entry form, you can enter or update different records on the data entry worksheet, which is named input. The form's features help you enter your data quickly and accurately, and some of the advantages include drop-down lists created with data validation, help users to enter the correct information into their forms. Another one is that they can make some fields mandatory, so users can't leave some fields in the form blank. Another one is to click a button to save the record and clear the data entry cells. Another is to use navigation buttons to see the saved data. And another one is to select a specific record to view or update, so you can choose whichever specific record in the form that you want. Form tools. The data entry form contains several tools along the right-hand side that make it easy to find and correct or delete records from the database. So one of the first tools is the Find, Preview, and Find Next buttons, and they allow you to scroll forward and back through the database one record at a time, which is useful for finding specific records in the database. So the Delete button is used clearly to delete records from the database. The Restore button is used to undo changes to a record that is being edited. Occasionally make the wrong changes to a record or even edit the wrong record altogether, and if so, the record button can be used to undo these changes. But one thing to note is that the restore button only works if the record is present in the form. As soon as you access like another form or close it, then it becomes inactive and you can't use it. And lastly, the criterion button allows you to search the database for records based on specific criteria such as name, age, or program. An example of using the criteria button is if you're trying to find like if you have your database like contains CSV and TSV. CSV, which stands for comma separated values, and TSV, which stands for tab separated values, are common ways of transferring data between different databases and spreadsheet applications. They're very useful in cases where programs use different file formats to store the data. They both save fields and records into plain text files, which is very useful because they can be read by most databases and spreadsheet programs because text files are very basic format. CSV files separate each field value with a comma, while TSV files separate each with a tab. And CSV and TSV are sometimes referred to as comma or tab delimited values. And as you can see below, this figure shows records that are exported as CSV. It shows rental databases, and each record is on a separate line with the first line containing the field names, and fields are separated by commas. And here are the sources and credits. Creator of introduction and closing videos and PowerPoint presentation is me, Matt Glover, and then under that are the links that I use for the information presented in this PowerPoint.